Browns 13-10 winners over the Steelers here at Cleveland Browns Stadium. But before we get to the game, a little bit of news before we started recording. It is official. The Browns are going to sign Joe Flacco to their practice squad, Mary Kay. So, simple question here. What does this mean?
Well, not only is he coming in to sort of be a mentor to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, because he does need that. He's going to come in basically as the number 2 quarterback. In the event that Dorian isn't going to move forward or isn't going to start the next game for whatever reason, the next man up is probably going to be one Joe Flacco, the 15-year veteran, former Super Bowl MVP. So that's basically what's going to happen. But the reason why DTR needs a mentor is because Deshaun Watson is heading to LA to have his surgery next week. And he's going to spend plenty of time rehabbing. That's the plan right now in LA. And so DTR is going to need that veteran presence.
Yeah, and look, Ashley, even if Deshaun were rehabbing in Cleveland, if he were in the building, we all know it's just different when you're rehabbing. You're not around. You've got a different schedule. Your day is just different. You're not in meetings. So to have a veteran presence like Joe Flacco, and for Kevin Stefanski to have a guy like that he can lean on to be that presence, and also if he needs him to play, is really important.
Yeah, I do think that's key. Obviously, Joe Flacco the last few years has not been playing like Super Bowl Joe Flacco. That was obviously a while back at this point, but that experience and that pedigree really matter, especially when you have a rookie now at the top of the depth chart in that room. And I really do think this makes sense for where this roster is now, what Deshaun Watson's timeline looks like, and with what Joe Flacco was doing currently. It's the perfect scenario for everyone involved.
All right, let's talk about this football game, because DTR, look, he struggled a lot in this game, especially in the second half when that run game got bottled up. The Steelers were sitting on all of those passes. But then, Mary Kay, all of a sudden, final drive, DTR leads the Browns on a game-winning field goal drive, threw for more yards on that drive than he did in the entire second half. Before that drive, it was an impressive rally from the rookie.
Yeah, he went 4 for 4 on that final drive for 39 yards. And before that, he had only thrown for 28 yards. They had, I think, 5 punts and an interception before that, 3 and outs. So it was not going well. But I will tell you, it really wasn't all DTR's fault. There were so many drops in this game. I counted at least 6, and then another pass went off Amari Cooper's hands. Now, some of these passes probably were not exactly the perfect passes, but still, these guys needed to support him better, and they came through on that final drive with 4 straight catches.
Yeah, Ashley, David Njoku, kind of an example of that. He really had a tough day. But then he made a catch that got them into really, I don't want to say chip shot range, but for Dustin Hopkins, it was essentially chip shot range.
Yeah, I think you did see multiple guys do that. You saw David do it on the last drive. You saw Elijah Moore, who had a drop in the second quarter. Immediately the next play, he made a big 12-yard catch for the first down. So I do think in all phases of the game today, these guys bounced back when it mattered, and they did make the catches there at the end when it counted the most. And you hope that something like that, if the throws weren't quite in line or on time, on target, that eventually that just gets worked out as DTR gets more reps.
Now let's spin this forward a little bit. Look, the defense was great. I'll say that. But let's spin this forward. The Browns are 7-3 now. They are second place in the AFC North, Mary Kay, behind only Baltimore. Of course, we know Joe Burrow is out for the year. Now the Browns have a leg up on the Steelers, and they're about to head on a 2-game road trip to Denver, and then they'll spend a week in LA and play the Rams. These are 2 very important weeks for this team to kind of get things figured out and kind of set up making a run over these final 7 games.
Yeah, they are very, very important, and you really cannot count every week on the opponent only scoring 10 points. There are going to be offenses that are better than what we saw today from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, of course, the defense had a lot to do with that, but this is not the best offense in the world right now. And they're going to have to get their act together on offense as best they possibly can. They're going to have to rely on running the ball. And, DTR, his rating was 54-something today. He's going to have to do better than that. But the players around him are going to have to support him way better than they did today.
Yeah, a lot to figure out still, Ashley, but it's better to figure it out when you're 7-3 than, let's say, 5-5 or something like that.
I think so too. And even when this team makes mistakes, and particularly the defense, multiple guys use the phrase today, battle tested. And I really do think you're starting to see that, where even if things start to break down a little bit, it doesn't really totally derail this defense anymore. Like in the second quarter, they let Jaylen Warren get going a little bit on the ground. He had a 74-yard touchdown, but they do come back and still get some really key stops. I was talking to players, throughout the locker room availability, and I think it was hard to even pinpoint one specific guy that made a key play for this defense today. It seemed like multiple guys made plays when it mattered, and that's what you need for a good defense.
Okay. Browns beat the Steelers here at home 13-10. They are, as I said, 7-3. They will head to Denver next week and then LA after that before they return home to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. That should be a fun game here at Brown Stadium. We'll cover everything at cleveland.com/Browns.